This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to The Door Report.
Welcome back into The Door Report, and welcome into episode 348 on a, we'll call it lovely, Tuesday, January 6th, wait for it, 2026. I was making sure I didn't say the wrong year that entire time. I am Will Byrum, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hulan, a.k.a. Hack Squat, Jim Duggan. Welcome into New Year, same TDR. Happy New Year, everybody out there listening. It's been a couple weeks since me and Trevor have recorded. We got to remember how to do this.
Yeah.
How do we even record a podcast, Trevor? I've forgotten.
Really, how we do it is we just talk like we normally do whenever the microphones are off, except this time there are microphones in our face and there's a camera watching us. We should do a subscription service like Big Brother to where you can actually watch the live feeds of the camera on Big Brother 247. So like you get to see them 24 hours a day, not just what's on CBS once a week. I wonder if people would buy that. It's just like, I don't know, 3:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, and somebody's like, I wonder what they're doing. And they just tap into the live feed in our house.
You're going to be real disappointed. Turns out we don't live the rock star life that you anticipate. You're going to stare at me staring at Excel spreadsheets a lot, and it's going to get real boring. But here at the Door Report, we are presented by 615 Collectibles. If you're into sports cards or sports memorabilia, check out 615 Collectibles on eBay. Items include NFL team packs, graded cards, individual cards, and more. Shipping is always fast and free. Next up, same as it was in 2025 and 2026, we got the Rhoback ad read, Rhoback Activewear. There is only one way to describe Rhoback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rhoback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Rhoback has released so many items within their newly licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and a clean hoodie and quarter zip designs for some of your favorite schools, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is bearing these levels of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Rhoback's everyday shorts or their Delta performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. They're both super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Rhoback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, both past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. You can use code VAN20, that is VAN20, on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled Rhoback, RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code VAN20. We also have the NIL store. You can visit nil.store/doorreport15 to shop your favorite Vanderbilt athletes merch. You can use code doorreport15, all capital letters, no spaces, for 15% off your entire order. Also, TDR hats are available. Visit thedoorreport.store and you can get your very own TDR hat. We've had a lot ordered, and I will drop it on the pod. We have 4 hats remaining. 4 total hats are remaining in inventory. No idea when I'm going to restock. So if you don't have a TDR hat already, go ahead and get yourself one, because we have 4 total hats left. 2 of the black rope hat design, 2 of the, what would you even call that? White with a black bill.
Yeah, white cat, black bill.
Yep. 2 of each. So go get them, please. I'm losing money on these hats. I've already lost money on these hats, even when we sell out. So I hope everybody loves them. It seems like people have received the first orders of the TDR hats. We're getting
texts, we're getting tweets. Listeners. Yeah. So shout out to the people. Shout out for you guys for supporting us, buying the TDR hats. I will say, on the NIL storefront, it is a sad day.
Your boy.
You can no longer purchase Chase Gillespie NIL merch, as he has hit the portal. It is a dark day in the Byrum McKee Hulan household. really for me, because I love Chase Gillespie.
So great transition. If you're here for the latest transfer portal news, go ahead and fast forward to segment 2. We will be joined in segment 2 by our own Vanderbilt insider, Alex Kurbegov. He'll be joining us in segment 2 to almost exclusively talk transfer portal before we get into premium message board questions. Then we'll hear Alex's opinions on basketball and all the miscellaneous questions that TDR subscribers have. But in segment 1, since it's been so long since we've recorded, we will be doing a very quick ReliaQuest Bowl recap. The final game of the 2025 season for the Vanderbilt Commodores football team. We will be doing a quick recap of that game. I at least have 3 key takeaways. I'm calling them the rapid 3 key takeaways. These are not going to be talked about for an extended period of time because what we really want to move on to is discussing Vanderbilt hoops in segment 1. And Trevor has a lot of things he wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt starting 1-0 in SEC play, beating South Carolina. And tomorrow/today, when you are listening to this, Vanderbilt will be facing their toughest test of the season, taking on number 14, Alabama.
The biggest game in Memorial in 20 years, maybe.
Top 15 matchup. It's been a long time.
I think this is the first top 15 matchup in Memorial in over 20 years.
I just recently secured tickets. Trevor is going to be there.
Season ticket holder here.
Get your ass to Memorial. It's going to be a hell of an environment on Wednesday. But before we get into all that and much more, we are now a part of the On3 Publisher Network. Great network, by the way, despite what you're reading about on social media. Fuck them. Visit thedoreport.com today and subscribe to a monthly or annual premium membership and support TDR for access to premium content as well as our premium message board behind closed doors. If you want the latest on the transfer portal, you need to subscribe to thedoreport.com and check out the premium message board. If you're like, man, it's kind of quiet on the front, not hearing a lot about Vanderbilt's transfer portal stuff, it's not quiet on the premium message board. So subscribe today. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Door Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and review on iTunes. It's now time for segment 1.
What did I say for you? Tell them to bring me my money.
Welcome back into episode 348 of The Door Report, and welcome into segment 1. To start off, we have an unfortunate game to recap, an unfortunate ending to a wonderful season and a historic season of Vanderbilt football in the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, Florida on New Year's Eve. The final day of 2025, the Vanderbilt Commodores lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes 34-27. We're not going to spend as much time as you would think on this game, and it's not because we don't care about the game. It's because there's a lot of other things going on in Vanderbilt football or Vanderbilt sports in general.
Yeah.
And if we spent too much time on this game, this would be a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
This is going to be a long episode. Notice in the beginning, I didn't say anything about trying to speed this one up. This is going to be beefy.
Yeah.
Get that out early. But Vanderbilt, I'm not going to go into a detailed recap of this game, but Vanderbilt started out slow. We're down 14-3 at halftime, a very unusual penalty out of the special teams. Nick Haber punted the ball in front of the line of scrimmage towards the end of the first half.
Did you know that was a penalty?
So I knew it was a penalty. I did not know how it was enforced. I will give credit to my dad. Immediately when he did that, he said, I was getting the ball right where he punted it.
See, I had
yards.
no idea it was even a penalty.
A lot of people didn't know that was a penalty. Apparently the Titans just did it a few weeks ago. And that's how my dad knew.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
apparently. I did not realize that. I've watched quite a bit of the Titans. I missed that. I will say I used to watch every second of every Titans game. This season, it's been a little different for me.
You could get Harbaugh now.
I actually wouldn't hate that.
Wouldn't hate that. That would be the
That'd be
best
great.
hire.
No, I mean, I'm saying if this was the Titans after Vrabel, I think exactly why Vrabel was fired are the same issues people are going to have with Harbaugh. But now you've seen the depths of hell. Because Vrabel was a great coach, but had some situational decision-making where they just couldn't get over the hump of a Super Bowl in the playoffs, which the Patriots fans are going to find out about this postseason. I'll tell you that.
But Harbaugh
I
does
would-
have one under his belt.
I would love to get Harbaugh.
That would be the slam dunk of slam dunks of grand slams. The Titans.
We will see.
Harbaugh.
The Titans are going to fumble it. And they're going to hire some random college coach. They're going to hire Les Miles. But Vanderbilt lost 34-27. How the punt, getting back to the punt, that play in particular towards the end of the first half, I'm not going to do a full recap. That play in particular is what changed this entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt had been outplayed mightily in the first half, but somehow we're only down 7-3 late in the first half. Worst case thinking, after they punt this football, worst case is Iowa goes down, gets a field goal, or up 10-3. Vanderbilt's receiving the ball after half. After that punt, Iowa immediately capitalized. Gronowski threw a 10-yard touchdown pass, scored. Iowa went into half up 14-3. Eventually, Iowa went up 21-3 before Vanderbilt mounted a Texas game-like comeback and ended up losing 34-27. The offense picked it up in the second half. Unfortunately, the defense did not. The offense failed in the first half when the defense did a decent job. So not the best performance at all that we have seen out of Vanderbilt, but that punt was just a weird situation. I feel like if Haber would have committed, he might have actually been able to pick up the first down.
I agree. That's what I mean. Whenever he
kinda in
punted it, I
between.
was like, he should have ran that.
But if you don't know what we're talking about, it's really hard to describe. Look up the highlight at the end of the first half, because that's not a normal football play. Let's get to the box score real quick before me and Trevor get to our 3 key takeaways from the game and then kind of describe the scene down in Tampa. Diego Pavia in his final game as a Vanderbilt Commodore was 25 of 38 for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, as well as running the football 15 times for 36 yards and a touchdown. Trey Richardson, who we will talk about a lot in segment 2, had a hell of a football game. 6 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. Another guy that I think's flown under the radar a little bit with how good of a game he had is Junior Sherrill. 8 catches, 123 yards for Junior Sherrill, was very involved. Langston Patterson in what could be, but we don't know, his final game as a Vanderbilt Commodore, led the team in tackles with 8, 1 tackle for loss. CJ Hurd had 7 total tackles. Bryce Cowan actually had a really good game, 4 tackles, 1 sack. As a team, Vanderbilt had 2 total sacks. Keanu Coote picked up the other sack. I do, before we get into our 3, what I'm calling them rapid takeaways from this game, because we're going to go through them pretty quick before we get to basketball. I do want to say how awesome it was to meet everybody that I was able to meet down in Tampa. It was incredible to see how many TDR listeners, whether it's regular listeners or casual listeners, how many people recognized me. And I actually didn't see your ass the entire time I was down in Tampa. I didn't see you
we
one
didn't
time.
see each other the whole time. Yeah.
You were hiding from me, I guess.
No, well, you were at the Vandy tailgate that had $100 cover, and I was like,
75.
okay, much better. I'm just gonna drink beers with the homies.
Yeah, but then we were drinking beers with the homies the night before.
Yeah, because I got in,
and then we
were
drinking beers after the game with the homies at World of Beer.
Yeah,
and you didn't show up.
I did not
booked in a different city.
I didn't book. My father booked. But with that being said, I'm gonna be totally transparent. I was actually, I know I texted the group chat, I'm indifferent about this game. I was so upset after that game that I was like, I can't go out and have beers. So I was like, Dad, let's just go home. Or not go home. Let's go to Sarasota. Let's just drive to Sarasota. I don't want to see anybody. Let's get McDonald's. I just want to go to the hotel and I just want to take a shower.
Yeah, it was a great time down in Tampa. I'm not going to lie. Regardless of the outcome of the game, which was disappointing, it was awesome to see so many Vanderbilt fans in one place. Like so many real Vanderbilt fans that really know what they're talking about in one place. It was great. Regardless of anything, I will never not attend a bowl game again. Started with the Birmingham Bowl last season. I went to the Music City Bowl, of course, in 2008. As long as Vanderbilt's at bowl games, that's an existential experience. Just being around so much positivity and so many Vanderbilt fans that I was told don't exist. I'll tell you that $75 tailgate would sure poke a lot of holes in that the idea that Vanderbilt has no fans. I will say that.
Was it popping?
It was packed.
Hell yeah.
I will say maybe a few more bars next time, but that event in and of itself, incredible job by Vanderbilt. Whoever set that up, whatever they did, it was great. I had a great time. Let's get to the actual game here and our 3 key takeaways. Once again, thank you to everybody that I talked to. I'm terrible with names, so I wish I could shout people up. We didn't shout out Josh.
We did not shout out Josh, our homie Josh. Thank you for this, Josh.
We're not going to touch it. It is.
I told you that we would hang it up. Hand up, that's on me. We were about to record the pod. It was lights, camera, action. I go, oh shit. I didn't hang it up. I went to go find nails. I couldn't find
I
nails
have
in the
some.
hammer. I promise you, it'll be up on the wall right next to the V next pod. But and the beautiful coasters. I have them
Yes.
right here. He made us these wonderful coasters.
These are awesome.
that we're literally using right now.
I think Josh has an Etsy store or something.
He will. I'll definitely.
All right.
I'll definitely plug his Twitter after this on Twitter, and I'll find his Etsy. I'm sure the links in his bio. I'll plug his Etsy shop on Twitter as well.
Yeah, we will get an exact link to that before the next episode. But thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes,
This is
thank
absolutely
you.
awesome. Like, he did this for TDR for free. I tried to ask how much. He did it for free, so we're giving him free advertising.
Yeah.
It's every bit of quality you could possibly want times 10. It's phenomenal.
Like, these are nice ass
Yeah.
coasters, like nice
Wood
stained
engraved.
wood engraved coasters with the cork on the bottom. It's
Yep.
not like the cheap plastic. Like, this is legit cork. This is gonna last you. Like, see, I'm trying to break it.
Yeah,
I
and the
can't.
Door Report logo is not a simple logo.
No.
It's incredible. So thank you so much.
Yes.
It's absolutely
gorgeous
awesome.
work.
But let's get to our rapid 3 key takeaways here. It always good luck with me starting until the bowl game. So I'll let you start on your takeaways here.
Yeah, and we're going to stay true to rapid fire. First and foremost, this offense messed Eli Stowers in a way that is hard to truly put into words. I think obviously Vanderbilt fans know what Eli Stowers is capable when he has the ball in his hands. I think Vanderbilt fans also saw what it means to the offense just having Eli Stowers on the field, even if he's not involved in the play. Just the respect he garners from the defense is tremendous. And Vanderbilt's offense missed Eli Stowers in truly ways that we cannot describe.
Yeah, I'll keep the rapid going. My key takeaway number 1 is Vanderbilt's players / staff were disinterested and unfocused to start this game. And I posted that on the TDR Premium message board, and I actually got put on Message Board Geniuses
I saw
for it.
that.
But I stand by that statement because I'm not a guy that says bowl games don't matter. That just in and of itself, that statement means credit to Iowa for not coming out unfocused and disinterested. That doesn't mean Iowa's not a damn good football team. They were coached and their players executed better early, and that was the difference in the game. Early in the game, Iowa's entire drive, Vanderbilt had him 3rd down. Missed tackle on what should have been a sack turned into a Mark Gronowski 44-yard run deep into Vanderbilt territory. Vanderbilt came out sleepwalking. As simple as that. And it's not necessarily because of the bowl game. They did the same thing against Texas earlier in the year, but they came out undisciplined and unfocused. So that was disappointing to see out of this team, and how much of that was due to things like losing one of your 2 biggest leaders on the team due to an opt-out. We'll never know how much of it was just bad execution versus truly being unfocused and not caring, but that doesn't excuse it. Bowl games matter. And unfortunately, Vanderbilt did not come out and execute and play their best. So that's my key takeaway number 1, really broad. Vanderbilt came out and did not execute well and seemed unfocused.
Yeah. My key number 2 is a little bit of a positive spin, even though it was a loss. Somebody you hit on earlier, Bryce Cowan. Vanderbilt fans should be on their hands and knees thanking the staff that Bryce Cowan is returning next year. That he's got it. He had a wonderful game. I think honestly, if he got more playing time this year, he would have been an all SEC kind of guy. I'm very, very excited to see what the future holds for Bryce Cowan in this Vanderbilt defense.
Bryce Cowan is a dog.
Yeah. In every sense of the word.
So I have 3. One of those that I initially stated was not one of my 3. And we'll see if I have to tack on an extra one here at the end. But number 1 key to the game is Vanderbilt got dominated on the line of scrimmage in both directions. And at this point, nothing I'm saying really matters moving forward. It's just takeaways from what did happen. On top of everything, defensively or offensive line wise, Vanderbilt gave up 5 sacks. And I don't even think that tells the full story. Diego Pavia, they picked it up a little bit in the second half, but especially early in that game, Diego Pavia's running for his life and just had a lot of free rushers in his face. And throughout the year, Vanderbilt's run defense has been pretty solid. They just gave up 3.7 yards per carry all season. Were pretty solid. The weakness of this team was in the secondary. Iowa did not struggle to run the football. When they needed to pick up first downs running the football, they picked them up almost effortlessly. As a team, Iowa ran the ball 37 times for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. Vanderbilt, just plain and simple, got dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that's why Vanderbilt lost the football game. So that's my key takeaway number 2. Vanderbilt got dominated in the trenches.
Yeah, my key takeaway number 3 is, and it sort of ties into your key takeaway number 1. I don't know if it was disinterested. I don't know if it was trying to get too cute with it. The reason Iowa, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Iowa's defensive front. That's a really, really good defensive front. It's easy to pin your ears back and go after the quarterback whenever you have no run game. And Vanderbilt did not run the ball. And the frustrating aspect is Vanderbilt is a damn good team when they run the ball. So I thought Tim Beck, not just in the first half, there were a lot of really questionable calls and decisions in the second half as well. I thought Tim Beck had a really, really poor game overall, and it stems from the fact that he just didn't want to run the ball. Could the Vanderbilt offensive line play better? Yeah, they definitely weren't communicating on those delayed blitzes whatsoever, and that's on the offensive line. But it's like I said, if you're a defender, if you're an edge, if you're a backer, it's easy whenever you know the team's not going to run it, and that was really frustrating.
Yeah, now we'll have the caveat with the offensive line. Now, this obviously was not early, and Vanderbilt struggled early.
Yeah.
But this was relatively early in the game. Jordan White went out with an injury.
He did.
And Cade McConnell had to shift over to center. So that certainly didn't help. But a lot of this pressure came when Jordan White was still in the game.
Yeah, and I
well.
will say, too, Cade McConnell at center did really, really, really well. And this is no shade to the guy. I hope he has good luck in the draft. Sterling Porsche was awesome. He was really bad at guard. He was a huge liability.
Yeah, he's declaring for the draft.
And so I got to be really thankful that Vanderbilt on the offensive front was healthy all season long, because Sterling Porsche was a disaster at guard.
So my key takeaway number 2, and good, I can kind of graze over this one because you've already hit on it. Vanderbilt abandoned the running game. Vanderbilt ran the ball 4 times for 11 yards to running backs. I just want that really to sink in. They ran the ball 4 times to running backs. They didn't run the ball to a running back a single time the first 2 possessions of the football game. So some of the caveat is, yeah, Vanderbilt was trailing in the second half, had to turn to the pass game. They didn't run the ball to a running back the first 2 possessions of the football game. So that was my key takeaway number 2. On my key takeaway number 3, I'm going to end it on a positive note. This was a disappointing ending to an otherwise magical season. Like, I just don't want people to lose sight, and I don't think Vanderbilt fans are. I don't want them to lose sight of what this season was. This team went undefeated at home. I had to remind my dad how long it has been since he's actually seen a loss in person.
Yeah.
Like, this team, Eli Stowers, Diego Pavia, Jordan White, Bryce Henderson, this entire offense that's not Richie Hoskins. I'm going to miss names.
Junior.
Yeah, well, he's going to be back. I'm trying to name guys that aren't, like, how special this group was and how special this season was. Like, I know Vanderbilt didn't make the college football playoff. They went 10-2. This Vanderbilt team did something that if you would have said was happening after the 2023 season, people would have chuckled and laughed. This team won double-digit football games in the regular season. Like, anybody complaining or anything, like, if you don't remember this, anything else than maybe than the greatest season of football you've ever seen as a Vanderbilt fan, I don't know what to tell you. And other fan bases can make fun of it, whatever they want to do. Vanderbilt went 10-2. Before Vanderbilt was getting made fun of because it's like, oh, you went 2-10, the doormat. Now Vanderbilt is being made fun of because, oh, you went 10-2 and couldn't even make the CFP. It's like, okay. Oh no. Like, I've seen depths of football hell you can't fathom.
Yeah.
You think you're going to get to me by making fun of a 10-2 season with a Heisman runner-up? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So I just want Vanderbilt fans to, I know it was a disappointing performance. I was disappointed. It should have been more of a celebration of the season. Vanderbilt lost to a team that was very well prepared in Iowa, and that's a damn good Iowa football team.
Yep.
They hadn't lost by more than 5 points the entire season. That included to Indiana, who just beat Alabama 38-3, Alabama's largest margin of loss since 1998.
Yeah. On a neutral
Indiana
field when Vanderbilt was at Alabama.
That Indiana team just beat them. And this Iowa team lost to Indiana by 5.
Yeah.
So this is a good Iowa football team. I just don't want this to be kind of it's not a black eye. I think I just want to take a second on this final takeaway of the season and be like, damn, that was an enjoyable football season from beginning to end.
That was, and I don't mean this lightly. That was the greatest 4 months of my life. I mean, that I'm 28, almost 29 years old. That was the greatest 4 months of my life. And I don't know if that'll ever be topped. I hope it is. I hope one day I get married, or I hope one day I graduate eventually. But I mean, even whenever I graduate with my doctorate and people are like, oh, what's the greatest moment of your life? No, I'll probably be like that 2025 Vanderbilt football season.
Yeah,
That was the greatest time of my life.
I mean, we've truly now it's more. It's like we watched something that people literally thought was impossible.
We watched something that people lived their whole lives, long lives, and died of old age, and they never got to see that. I knew Vandy fans who died in their 80s and 90s, didn't miss a game, and never got to see that. Never thought it was possible. So I'm right there with you, man.
Yep, that's our rapid 3 key takeaways from the ReliaQuest Bowl. Vanderbilt lost 34-27 to Iowa, ending the 2025 season 10-3. The first 10-win season in program history. We will see where Vanderbilt ends up in the final rankings after the season. Somewhere in the top 20, I would imagine. It would be a shame if they ended outside of that.
There's no way they drop from 14 out of the top 25.
No, they're going to end in the top 25. I'm saying if they have a 2-something after their number, I'm going to be disappointed. If they're like 22, I'm going to be disappointed. That's not going to reflect how good this team was. But then again, look at how the SEC's performed in bowl games. My God.
And so before we go to the break, non-Vandy
We're
related.
not going to break. We got basketball.
Before we go to basketball, is it time to say that the Big Ten is the premier conference in college athletics when it comes to football?
So
not just this year, but like probably the past like 4 or 5 years.
I would say that these last 2 years, yes. Like this is where I get people in my mentions talking about like I'm some SEC proponent. I'm like, I think the SEC my entire childhood and teenage years and maybe into college was the best football conference in the country. I do think that a majority of years. The last 2 years, the Big Ten has been the best conference in college football. Like that's not controversial. Like they just have. It doesn't mean that can shift dramatically next year, but last year for sure, the Big Ten had the best teams, like the top tier teams in the country. And the argument was about depth of conference. This year, the Big Ten is the best conference in college football this year. It just is.
Yeah.
Like right now, if Indiana doesn't win the national championship, it's going to be a big upset that happens because you've got Bama and Georgia both knocked out. Indiana is the odds-on favorite. I think they're like plus 128.
But even if they don't win it, who's going to win it? Oregon? That's another Big Ten team.
Possibly. I don't think it's going to be Ole Miss.
I don't think it's going to be Miami.
I don't know. Miami's impressed.
I take that back.
Their
I think Miami's kind of humming.
Miami with their defensive line as well as an incredibly experienced quarterback is a dangerous dark horse.
Well, and the
team.
weapons they have on offense with Tony, I think Ruben Bain has been a pleasure to watch.
So I watched quite a bit of Miami early in the season. I hadn't watched Miami the last few weeks, and I got reminded of it watching them the last couple of games. Their defensive line is unbelievable. And having the experience of Carson Beck cannot be overemphasized. Like, I know people like to make fun of him because of his Sid the Sloth eyes, but like that dude is
he's a gamer.
Damn solid quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, and it's kind of the same thing Indiana has. I know Mendoza won the Heisman, but like Mendoza is just a damn solid quarterback, which kind of like in the NFL, like that's what wins you national championships. It doesn't mean having the flashiest quarterback, having a solid quarterback that consistently makes the correct decisions. That's what wins you games. Alabama built on that for years. Just having game manager quarterbacks with talent around them. To some extent, I feel like Miami's got that. I don't know. Maybe I'm too up high in the sky. Right now, of course, Indiana is the odds-on favorite. That's who I expect to win it. But I would love to see a 10 seed win the national championship. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm cool with. I would not like to see Indiana win it because I can't wait to tweet. I can't wait for Fernando Mendoza to have a bad game and for me to tweet that's your Heisman with the cats laughing emoji. I've been sitting on that for a minute now.
And everybody's going to get furious.
I would love to see Oregon. I really like Dan Lanning. I like Dan Lanning a lot.
I think it would be such an intriguing storyline to have Ole Miss.
I can't cheer for Ole Miss.
No, I'm not going to cheer for them. But I mean, you want to talk about an insane storyline? Is Ole Miss winning the national championship without their head coach?
That's a great point.
That storyline to me is head coach in college football is the most important role in all of sports because you assemble the roster. But sometimes I think we overemphasize how much it actually matters in-game decision-making and coaching. And I think you might be seeing that with Ole Miss. It's like assembling that roster and being the head coach in the forefront of that program and the figurehead is really important getting players in.
Yeah.
Once you have those players in, it's what I've said for years. The Jimmies and the Joes win. The X's and O's don't matter that much.
I agree.
And I think you're seeing that with Ole Miss right now. I think the Jimmies and the Joes are what matter
Yeah.
a lot more than the X's and the O's. But that is all that we have, unless there's something you want to add on here about the ReliaQuest Bowl.
No, sir.
All right, we are going to be joined by Alex Kurbegov in segment 2. But before we are joined by Alex, we're going to talk some Vanderbilt basketball. Vanderbilt is the only program in the country with undefeated men's and women's basketball programs. I want to emphasize how crazy that is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Candace Story-Lee. Shout out to Shea Ralph. Shout out to Mark Byington. That's an incredible stat.
Yeah.
And I don't think is getting enough attention. It's not like both are undefeated right now. And that could change tomorrow for Vanderbilt men's basketball, their toughest test of the year. But as of right now, that's incredible. Vanderbilt women's basketball legitimized themselves on a national stage, moving to number 7 in the country after beating number 5 LSU and moving to 15-0. Michaela Blakes was electric. We don't talk a lot of women's basketball in here, but Michaela Blake's a superstar.
Yeah.
Absolute superstar. If you want to read more on Michaela Blake, Sasha Washington, visit thedoorreport.com. But Vanderbilt women's basketball is a tank.
Yeah.
And that is Vanderbilt women's basketball is a true national title contender this year. No doubt in my mind. Beating LSU and Kim Mulkey fully legitimizes them. It's the highest they've been ranked since 2005? 2005, 2007?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't look up the exact number.
So. I tell you what, man, Michaela Blakes, I saw somebody tweet this, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a savant whenever it comes to women's college basketball, but somebody said that Michaela Blakes, it might have been a Vandy fan, Michaela Blakes has Caitlin Clark type star potential.
Yeah.
And if you look at the numbers, they're right. She does.
Her game is so smooth.
She's a more efficient. I actually looked into this. She's a more efficient offensive player at this point than what Caitlin Clark was during her best season.
Now, the difference between Michaela Blakes and Caitlin Clark and why Caitlin Clark garnered so much attention was her shooting and how deep she would pull up. Like,
I was going to say because it was a white girl.
Well, no. Caitlin Clark, her shooting is something we have never seen in women's college basketball. And we haven't seen since. Michaela Blakes, as far as efficiency and how she runs that offense, Caitlin Clark has like a dude's release with how quick it is. Like, she's like the Steph Curry of women's college basketball. Michaela Blakes is incredible to watch. Like, I've given my criticisms of women's basketball. Michaela Blakes is a baller. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, she is incredible. And I think she had an insane number of Vanderbilt's points to start the fourth quarter there. But that's enough women's basketball. Let's move to men's basketball now. What Trevor is a savant about. Vanderbilt men's basketball opened SEC play with a victory over South Carolina, 83-71. Miles Studi actually had a really good game.
I called it. I called it in the group chat, and our boy who's coming on in the second portion, Alex Kurbegov, said there's no way he's shooting 32%. I go, Alex, I'm telling you, Miles Studi's going to have a game.
He had a good game. But Vanderbilt moved to 14-0, remained at number 11, which I will say kind of makes sense when you see the teams around them. I think it was Nebraska moved above Vanderbilt, but they beat number 9 Michigan State.
They had a scare against Ohio State last night. They almost lost.
But if Vanderbilt wants to move up in the rankings, this game tomorrow night / tonight, if you're listening to this on the day of release, is the game that you move up in the rankings for. I didn't read through the stats, but Vanderbilt was without Duke Miles. Let me pull up the stats real quick so I don't misquote any of this. Tyler Tanner was outstanding. He was phenomenal. I believe tied
Billy McCaffrey's single game assist record at 14. Billy McCaffrey did it in the 92-93 season against Kentucky. Shout out to Art Goldfinger for that.
Yeah, Tyler Tanner had 19 points, 14 assists, 4 rebounds. Devin McLaughlin also had a really good game, 15 points. Tyler Nickel was great, 4-7 from 3 with 16 points. And A.K. Okereke, he was the guy that Tyler Tanner was the guy that carried, but A.K. Okereke really stepped up.
He did.
In the absence of Duke Miles, scoring 17 points. Kind of a guy that hasn't averaged a ton of points. I think he was around 7 or 8 going into this game. Huge step up from A.K. Jalen Washington also had 10 points. Vanderbilt came out victorious 83-71, but they now have Nate Oates and a very, very talented Alabama basketball team on the horizon. I want to emphasize, I know that you look at Alabama's record. They're number 14, but they're 11-3. They are 11-3. Their 3 losses are all to top 5 KenPom teams. Vanderbilt's number 6 in the KenPom. I will say that. But Alabama's losses are to Purdue, Gonzaga, and Arizona. All top 5 KenPom teams.
They're also top 5 Evan Maya and Bart Torvik teams.
Alabama has not lost to a team that is not a top 5 team. So this is the test of all tests for Vanderbilt. Alabama opened up SEC play by absolutely drubbing Kentucky 89-74. Trevor, I know you have a lot of rants you want to go on about basketball, so I'm going to swing it to you. Here we go.
Yeah,
The
so
Trevor Hulan basketball corner.
So I have some stuff on Alabama as well as Vanderbilt. I'm glad that you brought up that Kentucky game. If for those of us that watched that Alabama-Kentucky game, Alabama went off on offense. That is no shock to anybody who's watched any Alabama basketball thus far this season. They are incredibly efficient whenever it comes to scoring. One of the best scoring teams in the nation. They're, depending on what sites you look at the lowest, they're a top 11 scoring team. I think Evan Maya has them just outside the top 10. Torvik, KenPom, all those guys top 10. But if you look at that Kentucky game, Kentucky made a really fatal mistake, and I think this is something that Vanderbilt's going to learn from Kentucky's mistake. Kentucky just ran this zone and just let Alabama, with known really, really, really high quality shooters, just shoot at will. They did not play a man and force Alabama to beat them at the rim. And that's a part of the game that I think Kentucky actually could have exploited, because Kentucky had a lot more size than Alabama. Alabama not undersized, but they're not one of the biggest teams that Vanderbilt's going to face, I think, actually. So if you look at Alabama, their starting 5 and even their bench is super efficient on offense, pretty good on defense, but their bread and butter is offense. This team can score. I would not be shocked if this is like a 80-90 type game. This is going to be a high-scoring game. At first guy I want to highlight, Amari Allen. He's not the best on the team, but if you look at his offensive numbers, 3.49 whenever it comes to offensive efficiency. Like I said, they're not great on defense. He's a 1.50 whenever it comes to defensive efficiency. I think that's something that Vanderbilt can exploit. I'm going to get into that later. Aiden Holloway, he's right up there with LeBaron whenever it comes to their best player. I think you can go either way, to be quite honest. He is the most efficient scorer on this Alabama offense. His offensive efficiency is 7.77. That would be the highest on Vanderbilt's team as well. That guy is a dog whenever it comes to offense. However, flip side, a reason this is going to be a high-scoring game, you look at his defensive metrics, he just does not play defense. 1.04 defensive efficiency. If you look at their best 5-man rotation, it's going to come with Allen, Holloway, LeBaron, Millette, and Sherrill all on the floor together. This is going to be a team that puts up an offensive efficiency of 154.8, defensive efficiency of 112.9. Now, there's a couple matchups whenever we flip over to the Vanderbilt side that I want to highlight that I think Vanderbilt can exploit, because I do think Vanderbilt is the better defensive team, and I think that's where this is going to matter, specifically at the rim. So we all know that Tyler Tanner has been an absolute dog. According to Evan Maya, I don't know if you know this, he's the number 6th player in the nation, according to Evan Maya. Tyler Tanner is playing absolutely sensational basketball right now, not just on the offensive side, where his offensive efficiency scored is 6.46. He is a dog on defense, 3.84 defensive efficiency. He's locked down in that front court defense, or in that backcourt defense. What I do want to highlight, though, I think where this game is going to be won and lost for Vanderbilt, it is going to be at the rim, because if I'm Mark Byington, I look at that Kentucky game and I see, okay, Kentucky got drubbed because they were okay with letting Alabama shoot instead of beating them at the rim. I think if I'm Mark Byington and this staff, I make Alabama beat you at the rim. And I think you can do that because of the size equivalent whenever it comes to Alabama's best rebounders and defenders. They don't have 7-footers. They have a 6'8" and a 6'10". And Vanderbilt's going to match up very, very well with that. I think the big key for this game is going to be Jalen Washington. I know people are going to say Devin McLaughlin. Jalen Washington, whenever it comes to defense, is a dog. And whenever you look at Vanderbilt's offensive and defensive efficiencies and their best five-man rotation, is Tanner, Miles, Tyler Nickel, AK, and Jalen Washington. According to the numbers, that's their best five-man, no Glock. Take that as you may. I think this game is going to come down to Devin McLaughlin, AK, and Jalen Washington versus Allen and Sherrill down low. Can Vanderbilt win those second chance points, and can they get defensive rebounds? Alabama's going to shoot. Even if Vanderbilt runs a zone, Alabama's going to let it fly because they're really, really good at shooting. They're really good at scoring. They're gonna hit some shots, but they're probably going to miss some shots as well. Can Jalen Washington, A.K. Okereke, and Devin McLaughlin capitalize down low? Also, whenever you look at Allen and Sherrill on defense, they're not great big men defenders. I think this could be a real coming out party for Okereke. I think he's the type of guy that I think he can back them down low, stretch the court a little bit, but really, really, really make this Alabama defense vulnerable and capitalize on some rebounds and some second chance points for Vanderbilt. So, yeah, like I said, I watched the Kentucky game. I've obviously watched every Vanderbilt game. I think people are going to look at this and they're going to be like, okay, it's LeBaron, it's Tyler Tanner, Tyler Nickel, Duke Miles, who I believe is going to play. This is going to come down to the big men. It's going to come down to Jalen Washington, AK, and Glock, and can they beat out Allen and Sherrill for Alabama? Because those guys are averaging double-digit rebounds, and then Sherrill's averaging 7 rebounds a game as well. They're cleaning up the glass. Can Vanderbilt compete?
Yeah, and a big part of this game as well is the status of Duke Miles.
Yeah.
They were without him against South Carolina. You felt that heavily with Vanderbilt missing 2 of their 3 primary ball handlers in Frankie Collins and Duke Miles. Frankie Collins, of course, is out for a more extended period of time. Officially, about 30 minutes ago, that injury report was released. Duke Miles is currently listed as probable. So it's looking good that Duke Miles will play. If Vanderbilt wants to beat Alabama, Duke Miles has to be on the court.
Agreed.
Plain and simple.
Agreed.
Because you mentioned in the paint a little bit more the battle that's going to be happening, but Philon Jr. and Holloway for Alabama, those are their 2 leading scorers.
Yeah.
And you're going to need Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles to have their best performances in order to beat this Alabama team. Between those 2 guys is about 40 points combined between the 2. And I think with Miles and Tanner, Vanderbilt has the guards to guard them and defend them well.
Well, Duke, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you look at the defensive metrics, Duke Miles is Vanderbilt's second best defender on the entire team. Obviously, number 1's Tyler Tanner, but according to the numbers, the second's Duke Miles. And I think whenever it comes to being like an on-ball defender, I think Duke Miles might be right up there with Tyler Tanner. So getting him back, not just for what he can do on offense, but really what he can do on defense more than anything this game, is going to be absolutely paramount. This is going to be a high-scoring ball game, dude.
Yeah, I haven't seen the official over-under yet. I know BetMGM had not released a line yet on this game when I last checked, but according to FanDuel, Vanderbilt was a 4.5-point favorite over Alabama in the early line. So a big matchup for Vanderbilt tomorrow/tonight when you are listening to this. Me and Trevor will both be in Memorial. Get your ass to Memorial.
Dear God, don't
it's
give
going to
me
be a
an
hell of a ball game.
excuse. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a war zone at Memorial.
It's an 8 p.m. tip. Where is it televised? ESPN 2 at 8 p.m. Get there. Don't worry about what it's on TV.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah, just the only reason you should need to know what channel it's on is so you can record it to watch it after you've been there. That's the only reason you need to know what channel it's on. But get your ass to Memorial. Man, dude, it's like I said earlier, this is the biggest game in Memorial in
a lot of years.
15, 20 years, maybe. And I know in the TDR group chat, in one of them, I gave him a lot of grief, but I do want to shout out Miller McKee. I said it was too early, but now that we're getting closer to tip, I think he might be right. He said this game could determine the SEC. And I was like, Miller's way too early. It's the second conference game in January. And the more that I think about it, the more that I think he might be onto something. This very well could, whenever it's all said and done, determine the SEC.
We will see. A lot of basketball to be played. After the TDR cocktail break, we are going to be joined by TDR's Vanderbilt insider, Alex Kurbegov, to talk some transfer portal and then answer premium message board questions. So everybody out there, grab yourself a delicious hot or cold beverage, and we will be back right after the TDR cocktail break. Welcome back from the TDR cocktail break, and welcome back into episode 348. We are joined now by TDR Vanderbilt insider Alex Kurbegov, or Alex Kurbegov, if you want to use his government name. We are going to break down the latest and best Vanderbilt transfer portal news available anywhere. So if you have fast forwarded through segment 1, this is where you need to be. Right now, January 2nd through January 16th, known as the transfer portal window, also known as absolute fucking chaos across college football is what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
It's over 30% of all college football players are in the transfer portal currently. Yeah. So if you're looking for the latest and best info on what is going on in the transfer portal, you have to subscribe to thedoreport.com to get literally the best Vanderbilt insider that there is anywhere, and that is Alex Kurbegov. Alex, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, as always.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. First off, I just want to ask you this. Since it is January 6th, do you want to go ahead and address and come out and say that the Russians did have involvement with the January 6th riots? Will you now take an official stance?
Number one, I don't know to what you are referring with riots. I know there were some peaceful protests that were, I don't know, unreasonably escalated. But if there was anything bad that happened, which I don't know of, let me be clear. Russia was in no way even tangentially involved in those happenings. That's I don't know. And this is hypothetical too, because again, I don't know anything that happened.
Allegedly.
It's a follow-up question. Can you tell us what the Kremlin is telling you their official stance is on the U.S. invasion of Venezuela?
I mean, I could actually tell you what they said. I
don't think it's in the news.
And I think they hit the nail right on the head. It's bad when the U.S. does it, but you better not say anything if I do it.
All right. Step over those landmines. Let's get to the college football transfer portal, which is the main reason Alex has joined us today. Just to recap what has gone on before we go to Alex for a little bit of insight. Vanderbilt has had a few guys into the transfer portal, and I'm just going to run through that list really quickly. That is quarterback Drew Dickey. He is officially committed to Arkansas State, joining Butch Jones as well as former Vanderbilt quarterback coach at Arkansas State. Quarterback Jeremy St. Hilaire, offensive lineman Misal Sandoval, offensive lineman Cooper Starks has committed to South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. Tight end Whit Edwards is in the portal. Star Jalen Ruth, wide receiver Boski Barrett, defensive end / edge Linus Zunk, running back AJ Newberry, running back Chase Gillespie, wide receiver Chance Fitzgerald, and then last but certainly not least, or the least impactful, wide receiver Trey Richardson, which we will talk about on this segment. Committed to Vanderbilt. On the other side, Vanderbilt has 4 current commits out of the transfer portal. East Carolina tight end Javante Connor, last year caught 23 passes for 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, has officially signed with Vanderbilt. North Dakota State offensive tackle Bo Johnson has committed to Vanderbilt. Jacksonville State defensive lineman Talon Carter, a 6'1", 300-pound defensive lineman, 29 tackles, 1.5 sacks last year. And then Texas A&M cornerback Kobe Sellers has committed to Vanderbilt. So that is a very quick recap of everything that has gone on in the transfer portal. The number one impact guy that has hit the portal, Linus Zunk, is a guy that spent 4 years here, transferred out, was saw the field a little bit. He's one of the other guys that has actually seen the field for Vanderbilt. The number one guy that sticks out in everybody's mind from those that have entered the transfer portal is wide receiver Trey Richardson. Was Vanderbilt's leading reception yards leader after the bowl game in 2025. A little bit of a surprise entering the transfer portal. Alex, I'll swing it to you. Anything you're able to add or want to add on what led up to Trey Richardson entering the transfer portal?
I think I'll preface this just before getting into details, which get emotional quickly for both obviously Trey Richardson's side of things, Vanderbilt side of things, and then the fan side of things. Because whether we like to admit it or not, we all have weird parasocial relationships with Vanderbilt athletics and get weirdly emotional for stupid things. But I'll just preface it by saying that Trey Richardson is a great guy. He is a phenomenal character. I have never heard a single person say a single bad thing about him. I've interacted with him a little bit. Always been an outstanding dude. Goes out of his way to interact with fans. Does everything in his power to just be a genuinely good guy. I mean, y'all saw that he spent his holiday season at various volunteer stops and being a genuinely good human being to give back. So I want to really emphasize that in no way, shape, or form people could read into what I'm saying completely the wrong way and try to make it sound like I'm dumping on the guy's character. That is in no way, shape, or form what I'm trying to do. And nobody should be personally attacking a guy for entering the transfer portal. That's the first thing I'll say. The next thing I'll say is that this was a unique and weird situation for a number of very deeply personal reasons for Trey Richardson. He, or rather his mom, really put things out there about how things were impacted with his son and how that's the main goal is to support him. And I have not heard anything to make the case that is not the case. Did that make sense? I have not heard anything to really truly say that that's incorrect. Now, where I do believe that there was some stretching of the truth is their claims that this wasn't about money and wasn't about factors like that. And I would say that is to say explicitly that it's not about that at all is untrue. I basically, from my perspective, it's a weird situation where personal factors and monetary factors are just truly inextricably linked together. And what's best for Trey and the people around him really just tended to be what would end up being best financially for him. I know that Vanderbilt offered him a generous sum of money. And I mean, Trey Richardson's mom explicitly stated that they had agreed to a certain amount of money. I think it's a fair price. I also don't doubt that probably if he went somewhere and there's a team that's desperate to replace speed out on the outside, that he could probably get a little bit more. I think that's really all that I need to say. I think that money was a very big factor, and I also think that he is a single father trying to do best for his kid and his mom and his family. And that let's be real, he was a Division II transfer who came in late to Vanderbilt, so he wasn't making bank last year. Like, Lord knows that. This is probably, unless the Pavia ruling gets finalized and all JUCO players get another year, this could be his final year of being able to play college ball. It doesn't seem like he has amazing NFL draft prospects. So as much as I hate it as a Vanderbilt fan, can you truly hate on a guy who's in the situation that he's in for getting the best thing for himself and his family, especially as a guy who's trying to truly provide? It's not, and this is what I'll say, it's not selfish that he's trying to get what's best. I think that this is truly done from a place of wanting to provide for others.
Yeah, and this is the complex nature of college football now. Is me and Trevor were talking about this before we recorded this episode, and no matter how you end up framing it or what succinct statement you want to make, there's just so much hazy area in between. It's like his mom released a full statement on Twitter that has since been deleted. I won't read that whole thing, but basically it started with her stating, Trey is not leaving because of money. And then the rest of that statement was about timing of financial compensation. Look, I have no problem with guys going out and pursuing as much money as they possibly can. I'm a capitalist above all else, in case people were confused listening to this podcast out there, who's the capitalist and who's the leftist here. But however, as I put on the board, don't piss on my boots and tell me it's raining, okay? It is totally fine with me if what is best for you and your family and the people closest to you is pursuing more money. But don't state that it's not for money and then make a statement about financial compensation timing. It's clearly about money, which is totally fine. That's fine. That doesn't mean anything about Trey's character. Hell, if I was a guy that transferred into a school that I had no prior association with, and then I knew that if I hit the portal market, I could make an extra couple $100,000 a year, but you better believe I would be considering that option really heavily. There's no one on this podcast that has horribly personal ill will against Troy Richardson for making this decision. But it clearly is somewhat about money, and it's not just about the number that's put up on the big whiteboard, okay? What I got told was basically, Troy Richardson, if there's an amount that we can put out there, it is somewhere closer to $1 million than it is to 500,000, is what I've heard. And a majority of this issue is timing of compensation. So Troy Richardson is a huge loss on the outside in speed. I think it's almost irreplaceable speed in college football, and that's a valuable commodity. But this idea that college fans of a team, fans of Vanderbilt, can't be somewhat upset that Trey Richardson is leaving, that does not mean attack the guy personally at all. He's a human being. If he was in the room with me and was like, I could make X here, or I could hit the market and make X here, I would probably tell him to go to option number 2 and make more money. Like you said, if this is his last season, being able to make money in collegiate football. But this one is unique with what's going on around him. And I've seen so many things back and forth and so much. I just haven't seen that much hate or vitriol around Troy Richardson leaving. I've seen some more upsetness, if that's even the right word, of losing that guy's production. And then what you're seeing on the outside is any criticism is just perceived as some disrespect towards Troy Richardson, or not respecting what's going on in his life. It's like, at the end of the day, you're making money from playing college football and the support of these fans. Of course, the fans are going to be a little upset that they took a shot on you as a D2 guy that had no value, and then you're leaving immediately. That's a natural reaction. You don't see this kind of criticism from NFL players leaving in free agency and fans being upset. That's where we're at in college football right now. This is just semi-pro ball, and these guys are just leaving to pursue more money in other places. There's obviously different circumstances and different things, but the Troy Richardson story is really the one that has caught the attention of Vanderbilt's eyes, because it is, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, it's not an issue of Vanderbilt not having money.
Yeah.
And I've seen claims of that other place. That's wrong.
Can we address that?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt has not run out of money. Vanderbilt has a lot of money, guys. That is, if Vanderbilt misses on a guy in the portal, or a guy hits the portal from Vandy, it is not because Vanderbilt does not have any money. That's just like a blatant lie. Like, I'll just put it that way. Like, that's just factually not true.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that Vanderbilt has the same amount of funds as Texas Tech or Ohio State. But they're certainly not sitting there staring at a big zero on an Excel spreadsheet saying, man, we got no more money to spend. That's not what happened in the Trey Richardson situation.
Can I just interject? Because I've been dying to say something, and it's hard to explain like while typing on a message board. So yes, number one, Vanderbilt is not out of money. If you suggest that they're out of money, you're not talking to people who are in the know. But here's the thing about NIL, because I've seen a lot of people kind of questioning this about like, oh, Alex, you told me that Vanderbilt has competitive NIL with several upper echelon SEC teams. Yeah, they do. Here's the thing, though. If you have, because there are some teams that have prohibitively more NIL to where like they really have FU money where they can just text a dude, go on all the visits that you want, text us how much they're offering you. We'll double it, basically.
Texas Tech.
Texas Techs of the world. They're probably at the top of that list. Oregon is up there. Texas is up there. Texas A&M is up there. They have, I mean, the 3 Texas schools just have oil barons literally funneling money into there. And then Oregon has Nike, who like their founders from Oregon, and literally has explicitly stated that Oregon basically has a blank check because he wants them so desperately to win a national championship in football. So they have that FU money. So if we take those teams and 2 of them are in the SEC out of it, we're like, okay, they're up there. Then you maybe have like one more team at like 35 to 40 million, which is more than Vanderbilt has. And then you kind of group the next. If there are like 4 teams up there in that next echelon, which again, that puts you above the upper half of the SEC, you're not going to be outbidding them. Straight up. You're not outbidding them. It's very, very, very infrequently. Oh, yeah, 100% this dude is coming to Vanderbilt, going to LSU, going to Ole Miss, going to wherever, Auburn, Florida, purely because it's the most money. Now, you have to have money to get in the door. That's the biggest thing, is that if you don't have money, you're not even in the conversation whatsoever. That's what the money has allowed Vanderbilt to do. Vanderbilt is now in these big-time races, not for your Sam Levitts and these guys who are demanding absurd amounts, because frankly, Vanderbilt doesn't think that they're worth it. But they're in the door with pretty much whoever they want to be in the door with because of the fact that they have that money. And then it comes down to playing time, opportunity, coaches, NFL development. Those are all very, very big factors. As much as everyone likes to make out this message of the portal is 100% money related, it is 100% like true that you have to have money to get into these recruitment battles, but then to differentiate between these two like very even offers, you have to have something, and that's usually playing time and NFL development. And Vanderbilt has a lot of playing time. They got jack shit for NFL development. So that's why you're really not seeing a lot of these surefire, true NFL guys take the leap on Vanderbilt, because if you're like, okay, who has Vanderbilt sent to the NFL from the O-line in the last decade? Nobody. I mean, like you got, I can't remember the
Justin School.
Yes, School. I couldn't remember his name. He was from before my time. But he's the only active Vanderbilt offensive lineman in the league. If you look at corner, you can say, okay, they had Casey Hayward a while ago. They had Jawan,
Andre Howell.
Yeah, like they had a few guys. So
Jawan Williams,
Tyson Russell recently.
Tyson Russell
Somehow, yeah.
Proud Detroit Lion, Tyson Russell.
Yep.
Don't know how that happened. Like they've got a few guys, so that's why you see the recruitment there is a little bit better. And then right here you have Eli Stowers. Why do you think Vanderbilt is like so laden with opportunities at tight end? Because they have Eli Stowers, who's a top 2 NFL draft prospect at tight end. So people go, they say, oh, hey, you have a guy who you're actively you've developed and are putting into the NFL. So of course I'm going to want to come to you. No disrespect to Chris Klanakis or Matt Nagy or Jamal Richardson or Larry Black or any of those guys. They haven't put dudes in the NFL. There's still another barrier to break down before Vanderbilt can 100% consistently get into those top tier recruiting battles, especially in the portal, because that truly is like playing time in NFL more so than any other high school battle ever. So anyway, that's my whole rant of Vanderbilt has money, guys. They have money. I will say a lot of it is being saved for the 2027 high school portal class because they are really, really in on several big time prospects there. But they have plenty of money. But money in the transfer portal is more to get in the door than it is to close the deal. Unless, of course, you have the true FU money, which I truly, truly hope. I know that we're all irrational creatures. I hope we can understand that it's not a failure of Candace Story Lee or Clark Lee that Texas Tech has more money than Vanderbilt. Because I do. The only thing that upsets me is when I hear people like saying Clark Lee or Candace Lee or Barton Simmons didn't do enough because Vanderbilt doesn't have that type of money. That's not true, guys. Stop it. Come on. Anyway, that's my rant. That's how I view NIL and in this portal.
Yeah.
That was spot on. And another, the last thing I'll say to add on to you, another position group that Vanderbilt's historically had success with, linebackers. Vanderbilt's put in a ton of linebackers, and Vanderbilt's never really had an issue, even whenever it comes to high school recruiting, getting highly touted backers.
Yeah, so that's currently where Vanderbilt stands, kind of how the transfer portal is shaping out so far. We're still early in a very short window that's just 2 weeks long. Let's move on to targets that potentially Vanderbilt has 4 commits that I listed out earlier: a tight end, an offensive lineman, offensive tackle specifically, defensive lineman, and a cornerback. I think a lot of Vanderbilt fans are aware of a wide receiver target in Nitro Tuggle, down to 3 teams: Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Auburn, according to latest reports. Former Purdue wide receiver, really talented guy. Hasn't had the most production in the world, but I think caught for about 540 yards last season. Are there any guys outside of Nitro Tuggle, Alex, that you know of that Vanderbilt's currently pursuing that you can share with us?
Yeah. So Vanderbilt actually will have 2 wide receivers on campus tomorrow. That is Nitro Tuggle, the transfer from Purdue. He's 6'1", good speed, put up 500 yards and a few touchdowns for Purdue as a true sophomore last year. And then the other name that I'm really monitoring, and this is up on the board, it's also public that he's visiting, is Ja'Cory Thomas. He is, I hope I pronounced that right, number 1. He's a transfer from Old Dominion University. He was a JUCO guy, actually, before he went to ODU last year. He put up, I think it was 714 yards, several touchdowns. He is a true X receiver. He is 6'3", not a burner, but he has enough speed and athleticism. He's got some good wiggle, good agility. So I really only expected Vanderbilt to pursue 1 wide receiver, and that was a true X before Trey Richardson left. I do think that they would take 2 receivers now before they would only have taken 1. I don't know if they'll land both. It's interesting because I like the chances that Vanderbilt has with both of them individually. I don't know how they affect one another in terms of like, okay, if one of them commits, is the other one going to be, oh, that's a big chunk of my playing time, I'm going to go elsewhere, or if they're both open to committing together. So whether they'll both commit, I truly couldn't tell you. That's a lot of variables, whether it's, again, like I just said, playing time, the NIL, Vanderbilt's willing to commit to the wide receiver position, and just a whole mess of things. So I don't want to make any definitive statements that Vanderbilt will get both. However, I think that it's more likely than not that Vanderbilt does get one of them. They will both be on campus together tomorrow. I believe you might be able to see them at the Alabama versus Vanderbilt basketball game. So if any of y'all sickos out there want to bring your binoculars or throw stacks of cash that have NIL labeled on them at either of those 2 guys, feel free.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's not illegal anymore. Ain't no allegedly to it.
Have like a QR code that goes to some business or charity so that you can pass the clearinghouse, and basically you should be good because that's made 0 impact whatsoever, hasn't it? But yeah, so those are the 2 guys that I'm really monitoring. We'll see if Vanderbilt misses on one of them, if they end up pursuing a different guy who kind of fits the mold of the other. But yeah, those are the two biggest names, and they'll be on campus tomorrow. But people are still entering the portal. The portal is still open for another 10 days. And I mean, just today we had a former 5-star from Ohio State. We've had 2 former 5-stars from Ohio State who, just because of the fact that it doesn't like they're going to it doesn't look like they're going to get infinite playing time next year. They're already saying, I'm out of here. So I don't want to say that it's the end of the world if they don't get both. There could be more targets that pop up. I know that there's a question about this in the mailbag, so I won't get too far into it now, but Vanderbilt's also being so secretive. So they could have another guy that they're working on right now who I have zero clue about. But yeah, Ja'Cory Thomas, Nitro Tuggle, remember those 2 names. I believe that Nitro Tuggle, well, he was at South Carolina today. He's going to be at Vanderbilt tomorrow, or I guess whenever this is out, it'll be it's Wednesday the 6th that he'll be at Vanderbilt. Let's just say that.
Wednesday the 7th.
The 7th. Today's the 6th. My goodness.
He's working too hard.
Today is the first day of school that's for Metro Nashville Public Schools. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a 3rd grade teacher. So yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long day with all the kids back at school and everything back up. But yeah, so monitor those 2 names. I think the fact that Nitro Tuggle did not commit to South Carolina as of 8:26 p.m. on January the 6th is an encouraging sign for Vanderbilt. I know that Auburn just got added into his top 3, so I'm wondering if they're making a late push, but they got a good shot, both of them.
So that is the latest from Alex Kurbegov here on the transfer portal. Keep in mind, if you want the latest and greatest Vanderbilt transfer portal news, subscribe to thedoreport.com and check out our premium message board behind closed doors for the latest updates on what is going on in the transfer portal. We are about to move on to premium message board questions, but before we do that, we have quite a few. We're going to take a quick TDR pee break, so we'll be right back after the TDR bathroom break. Welcome back from the TDR pee break. It's now time for premium message board questions. We've been talking about the transfer portal with our Vanderbilt insider, Alex Kurbegov here. I will add one more thing on the transfer portal. It's what a lot of teams are doing across the country. It seems to me like Vanderbilt is taking a top-down approach on this roster. They're pursuing their top target guys and then worrying about depth later. That's just going to be a thing that's going to happen across the country. Depth is unbelievably expensive. And it might be something that you just might be unable to get in modern college football unless you're one of those programs that Alex talked about earlier that just says FU money. Vanderbilt's just got to target their guys that they need, and if injuries happen, you're just going to be screwed. That's going to be a lot of college football now. And thankfully, this year on Vanderbilt's 10-2 run, Vanderbilt was not hit by the injury bug. Maybe next year it'll be different, but this year they were extremely lucky with no long-standing injuries. Corday Senor, of course, had an injury. Wataha missed the whole year. But overall, this team was extremely healthy throughout the season, and that's just what you're going to have to hope for Vanderbilt to be successful. They're just not going to build teams just full 2 or 3 deep at every position. That's just not what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So let's dive into these premium message board questions real quick. Or not real quick. It's going to be a while. We'll see. I don't know how many we have. First up from Ezra Chris Magnon says, without Kurbegov or Will/Trevor burning their sources, I'd like to know more about the seemingly large difference the football staff is taking and sharing information about Curtis in the portal. In my view, which could be wrong, is that the staff was much more willing to share information about Curtis back in November, but now that we are in portal time, they sort of feel like they are stonewalling Alex. What's up with that?
So I'll go first just because I briefly answered this on the message board already, and I'll give my side. If you guys remember this time last year, whenever it came to the portal, Vanderbilt was also very secretive whenever it came to the football portal. So this is nothing new. However, I will note, I think they're being more secretive this year. In contrast to the Curtis stuff, Vanderbilt was very secretive regarding Curtis. I personally got a lot of my information from outside sources within the local Tennessee high school football scene and scouts. That doesn't burn anybody. But it's like I said, as that became more apparent that it looked like Vanderbilt was going to land Curtis, and Vanderbilt became much more open. towards me, but they were very secretive early on as well.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment that Vanderbilt really, really, really goes out of their way to try and be hush-hush about various, really just the transfer portal. I mean, I don't know if people remember last year, but I personally do not recall, because this was before we had taken over, formerly rivals way back when.
Taken over, baby.
But I don't believe that anybody had a scoop about, I believe it was Gunnar Givens. I don't think we heard about before he committed. Sterling Porcher, we didn't hear about before he committed. Josh Singh, who ended up being super crucial down the stretch, did not hear about him before he committed. Several, I mean, Trey Richardson, the only reason we heard about him was because he posted a top 3 with Vanderbilt in it, and that prompted people to start looking because nobody had any clue who this kid was.
Yeah.
So Vanderbilt moves in silence and has moved in silence for a long time. Secondly, I'll echo Trev again and say the Jared Curtis stuff started in October, probably even before that. We didn't really get scoops on that until late November. It took a month and a half for that to really get anywhere. And that was the majority of my sources were also outside of the Vanderbilt staff. In fact, to let people in on a little bit of my own madness, I do not frequently interact with staff members for like big time scoop material stuff. Number one, they know who I am, so I'm not fooling anyone if I just DM them curious. Number two, they're very aware they don't want things to be public. So it's very infrequent that I will get a straight up scoop from someone on staff or who has been on staff, whatever. Where you can usually hear from people is like guys who know a guy, and they'll be a little bit more forthcoming because they don't have true skin in the game. They're going to get professional consequences if things get out. And not only have the staff completely stonewalled both Trevor and myself on a number of occasions when we ask for anything, but they have also been stonewalling the guys who they usually are okay to tell things to. And yeah, so it's a messy job to try and get scoops now. Don't worry, I promise I double and triple verify my facts before I report them, even if it's not from a member of the staff. It's really because of that fact that I double and triple verify. But it's a messy situation. Yeah, so there's a concerted effort to keep things really quiet, and I think that it can be a little bit maybe. It's just the Curtis situation was very unique in that it had been going on behind the scenes completely silently for 2 months. And then things started to kind of boil, and enough people knew about it that I was able to get access to a lot of information. It wasn't the staff who was telling me that. It just wasn't. The staff was not going to tell you anything about Jared Curtis other than once it had been reported that they were in, they were like, yeah, we're working on him. That's the most you would ever get from the staff. Details were found elsewhere.
Yeah, I think there's some idea, and we got to go through these questions, but there's some idea that like, oh, these guys just have an in and they just text somebody on the staff and they get information. Like anybody that's worked in sports media or any media, that's not how it works. There's a lot more piecing the puzzle pieces together and getting a piece of information here, a bit of piece of information here, and then being able to confirm those once they start picking up steam. So there is, and the reason for that is not something absurd or anything. It's not unique. What is the benefit for Vanderbilt giving that information out and making it public? It can only hurt them. It cannot help them if people and the public know who they are pursuing, especially with the track record now they have of identifying undervalued talent. It can only hurt them to release that publicly. So next up from GLH4VU, we have... Nope, that is wrong. Next up is from Adam Baum 1987. Says, I hope everyone can truly reflect on and celebrate this truly historic season in spite of the bowl game, college football playoff, and Heisman robberies. Looking forward to the game tomorrow for Bama. It's been years since I've been to a game, but taking the wife for this one for her birthday, hopefully a good turnout. Obviously, I'll tune in for this episode to get the latest on the scoops. So I don't have any pertinent transfer questions other than, are we going to try and overpay for at least one top edge? Like the young guys, but if Trick hasn't signed yet, would love that. Also, any update on some high school kids? I know that a wide receiver is going to make his decision after this episode. Any thoughts on the edge situation? And it's fine if no update.
I mean, this is... I don't know. I don't want to break the paywall too much, just because I do want y'all to subscribe to the Door Report.
Yeah, but, check thedoorreport.com for an update.
London Merritt from Colorado. He was a first-team All-American freshman. He was on the first-team freshman All-American but by PFF. So PFF thought he was the best freshman edge rusher in the country. So that's a pretty big fish. He was on campus yesterday, and I'll just say January 5th and 6th. I don't know. I've heard encouraging things, but that's really all I can say at the moment.
Yeah. Subscribe to thedoorreport.com. Check the Behind Closed Doors premium message board for some more information on that front.
I kind of struggle figuring out what we can and can't say sometimes.
Same, yeah.
Thank God these aren't live.
You can say whatever you want.
We cannot. We actually cannot.
That is very true, actually. Next up, we have some basketball questions, actually. First up, number one, Byington said Miles has a, quote, annoying injury, but it has no real long-term effects. Do you expect him to go against Bama? Well, he's officially been ruled as probable. So,
inside sources have also made it clear to me that Duke Miles will play tomorrow.
Number two, can Jalen Washington and Devin McLaughlin's front court defense be enough against Bama? I think Cheryl for them is a game time decision. Trevor, you talked about that.
It's like he read my notes pre-pod. GLH4VU, my dog, I've answered.
And number three, predict the over-under for the Vanderbilt-Bama game.
Oh, God.
It's brutal.
Over 165.5.
That's really low compared to what Vegas
I was going to go a lot higher than that, yeah.
Yeah, according to Vegas, the over-under right now is 177.5.
That's a lot higher than I thought that would have it.
That's a crazy over-under. So I was sitting here with Miller.
Oh, my God.
A couple nights ago, and he was like, what do you think the over-under is going to be? And my actual guess, I'm not lying, Miller can verify, was 176.5. So it was pretty close there. And I then backtracked and was like, maybe more like 172.5. But both of these teams, Bama and Vanderbilt, play incredibly up-tempo. 177.5 with these two quality teams is kind of crazy, though.
Yeah, I was going to say 175.5.
You taking the over-under on that, Alex?
I'd really have to know if Duke is playing. Well, Duke and then Cheryl and all, because there's another guy on the Bama list as well. I'm going to take the over.
I don't hate that. Next up from Friedis Boss says, we spent about $20 million on the 2025 team. Have you heard anything about what we plan spending for the 2026 team, more or less? I will right now tell you more.
Yeah, more.
And I think that's low ball on the 25 team.
Oh,
I think it is too.
No, they spent a good bit less than $20 million on 25.
Okay.
That's based upon my sources. I think that it was not egregiously less, but I don't think it was much more than 15. And I think that, yes, they're going to pay a good bit more.
Mm-hmm.
More than a good bit more for 2026.
This is not Vanderbilt related. This is a bunch of people that I talked to. But if you're spending $20 million on your football team, you are screwed. Like that just ain't going to cut it anymore in Power 4 college football. That's not going to cut it anymore. You're going to be a 4-8, 3-9 football team unless you find some incredible diamonds in the rough. So it's going to be more than that. That's $20 million is base level of like a 2-10 Boston College team. Next up from Red Door, we hear so much about Vanderbilt, but how are the two of you doing?
We'll include Alex as well.
Alex, I'll tell you, the TDR headquarters is falling apart. Our fridge, our freezer is broken. Our stove is broken. Hell, our microwave doesn't open half the time. We're struggling here at TDR headquarters. So subscribe to thedoreport.com. Help us out with that.
Yeah,
even though that doesn't actually contribute to anything here.
We live in a nice townhome in Sylvan Park. We no longer live in a shanty home that we used to live in. This is a very, very, very nice, luxurious townhome that I am proud to be a third renter of. But we need to get this fixed.
It's bad.
But thank you for asking. Other than that, I've been doing well.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I am running on the 23rd hour. I'm close to falling apart and having a full mental breakdown publicly, like shaving my head like Britney Spears level. I'm going through an insane time at work, as well as the most chaotic time to be a publisher for On 3 right now. I'm holding on by a thread right now, if we're going to be honest. So if you see me on any public videos or anything, I might be having a mental breakdown. We will see. I'm currently I'm dying. That's the best way to say it.
You want some of my Prozac?
Possibly. We'll see in the future. I maybe could use some other stuff. But Alex, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just great. Like I said, today was the first day of school for Metro Nashville Public Schools, and that was it actually wasn't a bad day. But yeah, if you combine that with, I could look at my screen time the last couple of days just spent on various apps messaging random people, or not random people, but my God, and I just don't clip that out of context. Anyway, yeah, no, it's been a hectic time. It's been a hectic time for sure. But hey, I'm doing good. Doors are playing basketball tomorrow. I'm going to be there. Couldn't be happier.
Alex is on an encrypted message site messaging his KGB informants.
Next up from yet another Door lawyer says, all right, it's January. When are we lifting the embargo and talking about baseball? JK. No real question. Just enjoying this monster basketball run after a historic football season. Thinking about who has it better than us.
Nobody, baby.
Nobody.
In regards to baseball, we actually, during the commercial break, were discussing future plans with baseball, so stay tuned.
We will be covering baseball when that time hits, when Vanderbilt basketball is not undefeated in SEC play, and we're not coming straight off of / into the football transfer portal.
Why are Vandy fans always trying to look forward to the next sport?
Yeah, right now, baseball, just not. I'm in basketball mode right now / transfer portal mode. From Jamie Lee Curtis _15.
Great name.
Is the administration having any extension conversations with Byington to ensure he is here for the long term? I'm trying to live in the moment and enjoy this run, but watching him leave after resurrecting the program from the ashes is something I'm not emotionally prepared for. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, Byington's probably gone. I'm a level with you. I'm not saying it's not inside information. That's not anything I've heard from anybody. Like, just use your brain. This is a guy that is not like Clark Lee. He has no ties to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt basketball is also a much higher profile job than Vanderbilt football in general. So he's not just going to leave for another job. But the moment like UNC opens or something like that, like there's no contract negotiation that's going to keep him here in Nashville. Like, so just do emotionally prepare yourself for that, because maybe I'm off my rocker there, but that's my thoughts.
To answer your question, there's not like full flooded like contract negotiations, but those talks are being had here and there. It's not their first priority at the moment, nor do I think Mark Byington's first priority is like looking for greener pastures per se.
Yeah, it's not anything. It's Mark Byington. It's just Vanderbilt's a really good college basketball program. They are not an elite college basketball program. And Mark Byington's a relatively younger guy that has no ties to Nashville. So I just have to use my brain there.
Yeah, what I'll say is I don't have crazy inside information about the goings on in the Huber Center, but from what I've understood from various people, Mark Byington is well paid. His buyout is very high. In fact, if it wasn't so prohibitively high, the University of Virginia would have made a very big effort for him last year. If I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart, honestly, I do think that probably if he continues at his current pace, he will end up coaching somewhere other than Vanderbilt sometime. However, I've heard that the sentiment within Vanderbilt is that they don't think that'll be next year. I don't think anyone's looked into it too much. I just know that they think that he is pretty well paid, and he's been given one of the nicest facilities in all of the NCAA and a lot of NIL money. So he has reasons to stay here. That's what I'll say, is that he has reasons.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like he's actively looking to leave or anything. It's very different how I took such a hard stance on Clark Lee.
Yeah,
it's a very different scenario than with Mark Byington right now. Like, I can perceive in my mind a scenario where Mark Byington leaves in a couple years, and I'm not going to sit here and shit on Mark Byington for resurrecting this program from the ashes of Jerry Stackhouse and Bryce Drew. I'm going to have nothing but fond memories of Mark Byington. But let's pause that. And he's going to coach here for 30 years. So what am I even talking about? So there's just right now that's just not really in the forefront of a lot of people's minds, which is where it should be when you're not even halfway through a basketball season and you're undefeated. He also went on to say, also just got my TDR hats in. Love them. Absolute staple pieces of my wardrobe. Love that.
Hell yeah. Thank you, brother.
Get your newest hat. Get your TDR hat. We only have 4 left on the doorreport.store, and who knows when they'll be in stock again. So grab them today. Next up from World's Strongest Vandy Fan. What are y'all hearing about the plan at edge? We already kind of talked about that earlier. Right now, we have 0 defensive ends who have played meaningful snaps. Every other spot on the team, we either return depth or starters. This is the only one where it's legitimately a blank slate. Boulware and Stanish, the only 2 returners with Zoom hitting the portal. I know we've linked to guys in the portal, but most of them seem inexperienced as well. Lots of freshmen / redshirt freshmen. Do we see Capers bulk up more and move to defensive end and have Coot / a transfer compete at Razor? Or do you think the staff views Coot as a backup regardless, so it's just a matter of bringing in more defensive end type guys across from Capers?
I think it's bringing in more guys across from Capers. I think Capers is already too valuable as is at Razor. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw a little bit of Bryce Cowan at Razor next year as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. It's still very early in the transfer portal cycle. And like we've said over and over, Vanderbilt's very tight-lipped about what is going on. So we will know more over the next 10 days.
Yeah.
World's Strongest Vandy Fan goes on to say, also is the T-Rich, talking about Troy Richardson, saga one of the more toxic situations we've seen unfold via Vandy sports that wasn't related to losing. Sure seemed like a lot of feathers got ruffled everywhere. Number one, not one of the more toxic ones.
Not even top 3.
We're not going to dig into those, but not one of the more toxic. I will say a lot of feathers did get ruffled, and it feels very unnecessary to me.
Yeah.
It was it sounded like, as I've talked to people, it sounded like it was a pretty amicable departure on both sides. I mean, there was frustration. There was the requisite frustration that both sides have of, I think Trey wanted to stay. In fact, he said very explicitly earlier in the season that he did want to stay. And the staff obviously made a highly lucrative offer. They wanted him to stay. So nobody's happy, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you told me you were coming back and then you were talking to Georgia under the table and they slid you an extra $200,000 and so you did. Mm-hmm. So no, it really wasn't toxic until some unfortunate choices were made. I think we should give people grace in these types of emotional situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I can just say one thing, that's truly, this is the Trey Richardson one is just a good example of it, but it is not exclusive to Trey Richardson's situation. I'm only 28 years old. I don't have kids. So take this with a grain of salt. If you're a parent of one of these college football players, just don't post on social media. Just don't. It's never worked out well for that player or helped them in any capacity. If you think you're defending them or setting the record straight, I promise it's not going to help. Just don't take to social media. A lot of this has been caused by Freddie Richardson's mom taking to social media. And there's nothing against her. She loves her son. We're not being negative about any of this. But just parents, take a step back. I know that's like almost an impossible thing to say. But be involved behind the scenes to the extent that your relationship entails. But there's just making a statement on social media is just not going to make things better. I promise it's not going to make things better. Getting to the next question. Stop laughing, Alex.
No, I wasn't laughing. I saw. Sorry, somebody sent me a clip of Jalen Carey. He got an offensive board and attempted a Magic Johnson, Jason Williams around the back pass to a dude who had 3 Texas Longhorns around him. It hits a dude where the sun don't shine and goes out of bounds. Sorry, somebody sent me that and made me laugh.
Podcast about an hour ago, and we're supposed to be watching that game right now, but we're currently not.
We do for you people.
We still have some more message board questions here from Pessimistic Door. I'm not hearing much NBA buzz about Tyler Nickel. He's got the traits and a tall wing who is a great 3-point shooter with average defensive skills. What does he need to show to get selected in the draft?
Be better off the bounce.
Greater ability to handle the basketball. That's the number one issue. He's got to have a better ability to handle the basketball and create a shot one-on-one. Yeah. That's number one. That's the issue.
He also, I mean, he can get away with it in college, but his lateral movement ability, agility, and just general athleticism would get exposed so quickly in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So I think that's that plus he doesn't have he has an off the bounce game. It's just not super developed. So that's what's
not to the point of a 6'7" NBA wing.
Yeah.
He's just not, it's not there. He's a great shooter.
He would be asked to do so much more in any NBA league game.
Yeah.
He could kill him with the G League.
Yeah. He could.
Next question from Just Another Door says, who has a better chance of being drafted? Pavia or Tyler Tanner? That's a silly question to me. Tyler Tanner, not even close.
Tanner. Not remotely close.
Diego Pavia was never, and if he gets drafted, I hope he gets drafted. Mm-hmm. Diego Pavia, he could have come out this year in 2025 and thrown for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. He was not getting drafted at his height. Because I'm going to be honest, when he gets measured, and there's no fooling the measurements or anything, he's going to be 5'9", maybe 5'10" at best. He is not getting drafted, guys. He's not. That height is an NFL. He might get it. He will get a shot somewhere on a training camp invite, almost guaranteed. But he was never getting drafted with his measurables. It doesn't matter how good he performed in college. Tyler Tanner times 1 billion has a better chance of being drafted. Next question, unabridged. I'm fine eating crow with my, quote, Tanner isn't going to get looks from NBA front offices, unquote, take if he keeps playing like this. Do you think Tanner declaring is a legit chance at the end of this year, or will he stay in college to collect fat NIL stacks?
Tyler Tanner's not declaring after this year, guys.
I'd be really surprised if he declares after this year.
Yeah,
really surprised.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
I'm predicting a Scottie Pippen declaring for the NFL draft while retaining his or exploring the NBA draft possibility while retaining his college eligibility.
I could see that.
Like what Tyron did.
Yeah.
What Tyron and Scotty both did.
Yeah.
I would say that it's 60-40 that he returns. But if he keeps putting up 15 and 6 in the SEC as a sophomore, that can flip quickly. I mean, people are starting to mock him way too routinely in these. I mean, I saw somebody have him as the 4th overall pick today, which that's not happening. That's ridiculous. But he could sneak into the end of the first round. I've seen a lot worse players get drafted in the end of the first round.
We have 2 more questions here. From JC Vandyman says, I want to hear Will's take on replays versus crowd shots at Raymond James Stadium. Actually, that's not necessary since I got it in real time in section 231. Good to meet you at the bowl game. Maybe next time we'll have a better outcome. I will say, if you hear me talk in this podcast, I promise I'm 10 times worse if you're around me at a game. The Raymond James replays. You were there, Trevor.
Why in God's name do they have that big ass pirate ship blocking the jumbotron?
So this is an issue that I've had with Vanderbilt all season. I've been to a lot of football games, probably more than I should attend my entire life. Vanderbilt's replays got a lot better towards the end of the year. At Raymond James, it was key plays. I want to see a replay on literally every single, even remotely consequential play of the game. It was crowd shots 80% of the time, maybe replays 20% of the time, and that's being really generous. Whatever interns and stupid 19-year-olds you are hiring to manage your video comms and manage, I don't know who it was at Raymond James. If it's some professional that also manages games, they should never manage a game ever again. It was atrocious. Like, I hold back my tongue sometimes because I know Vanderbilt's implementing a new stadium, implementing a whole new game day policy. I've met some of these people. They're trying their best. That was a professional stadium in Raymond James for a bowl game. That was pathetic. Like, genuinely, I was sitting there. There were key third and fourth down situations, no replay. Just showing crowd stats, people doing 6-7, 6-7. Like, it was bad. Like, I don't know. Whatever the salary is that people are being paid to manage the in-game video production is not enough because it was awful. Like, I had a great time at the bowl game. Raymond James, honestly, a little unimpressed with the stadium. I'm a level with you. I thought I was going to be kind of blown away. It was Nissan Stadium with a fucking pirate ship out there. Outdated shit. It was not great.
It was not a nice stadium.
No, it wasn't. I thought everybody told me Raymond James was awesome.
I walked in there. I was like, this is it?
Yeah, it was not great. But the video stuff and the replays, I bitched about it all game. And I'm sure everybody around me was annoyed. But they know I'm not wrong. Is like, I don't know what they're constantly cutting to crowd shots. I'm like, I'm trying to watch a damn football game, and I can't get a replay of a third down spot. What is going on? So he didn't want me to rant about that, but I did anyway. Raymond James, that was absolutely pathetic. Horrible. Whoever your game day ops guy is, horrible. And Vanderbilt and Iowa fans, even though they don't agree on much, can agree on that. It was awful. Last question we have from Premium Message Board here is Vandy Gold. With all the recent success, what can Vanderbilt do to capitalize on it with the Nashville community? Is there a plan? How accessible are they to the media and you? That's a very good question, and I want to swing it to you guys because there's multiple parts to that question. Number one, how does Vanderbilt capitalize on it with the Nashville community? They're doing a much better job than they have before.
Mm-hmm.
How you engage with the Nashville community is continuing to put a winning product on the court and the field. That's number one. If you keep winning, it's like Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. In college sports, it's win and they will come. Professional sports, it's win and they will come. Is there a plan? I don't know. I haven't discussed with the admin. I don't know. They don't share that stuff. And how accessible are they to the media and you? I will add on to the end there, how accessible are they? Vanderbilt historically, and why they've struggled so deeply for so many years, they have been so anti-engaging anything on the outside. And for the first time, you saw a little bit of engagement with local media and national influencers and things like that, with Theo Vaughn, with iShowSpeed showing up.
Or Take Heath, local guys.
Like finally, with Sketch, finally opening their doors to those things. And I saw some old heads getting mad at it, and I was like, you idiots, this is what they've been needing to do for 50 years. So Vanderbilt is obviously more open to this. Now, I will say, compared to when I talk to people that work for other publisher sites and manage other publisher sites, there are certain areas where you get more accessibility with Vanderbilt, and there are a lot of areas where you get less. And Vanderbilt is very selective with who they credential and very selective with how much information they allow to leak on the outside. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but we don't have the most access of other On3 sites. We just don't. And that's kind of how Vanderbilt operates. And I'll swing it to you guys who have more of the insider stuff.
I'll say in my personal experience, Vanderbilt, Magoogan, staff, players, you name it, have been very, 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 very good to me. And I'll leave it at that. Do they stonewall me? Of course. It's their job. Like, this is their livelihood at stake. I'm not mad. If I was in their position, I'd stonewall me if I'm texting them all the time. But Vanderbilt, everybody involved since I have joined TDR and since we've sort of made this shift into being more involved back and forth with them, they've been really, really good to me.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be negative.
No. Right.
It's just it's you don't on one side it's not a public institution, so you have less access in that capacity.
Exactly.
And so they're able to be more secretive,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term. But at the same time, it's not their job to communicate with us.
They have no obligation.
Yeah, there's no reason for them to do that. So it's not that it's any different. It's just some universities are more open with media and some are less. And Vanderbilt kind of sides a little bit on that less side. And that's fine.
I will say, though, with fall camp in particular, this will be the last thing I say about this. Vanderbilt is you guys might not think it. Vanderbilt is hyper open whenever it comes to fall camp. Vanderbilt allows us to watch all of fall camp in its entirety from the first whistle to the last.
Yep.
Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, they don't get that. If you are an insider for Tennessee, you go to their fall camp, you get 15 minutes of watching practice. They send you inside to wait 2 hours before the coach and the players come out. They let us see everything. Now, we're not allowed to report everything we see, but they still let us report and they still let us watch. That is way more open than just about any other program in the country.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because that is very true. The access we had during fall camp was phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, my ability to comment on that is not super extensive because Trevor and Will have handled a lot more of the kind of official reporter-ish things, Big J Journo stuff. But no, I think the biggest issue genuinely, from my perspective, this is relative to engaging with the Nashville community. It's not that they don't do that because they do a lot of things around Nashville. You see players at schools, at hospitals, like they do a ton of stuff in and around Nashville. My school, the school that I'm at, we, along with a ton of other Metro Nashville schools, got pencil pouches that were packed by the Vanderbilt women's basketball team that are logoed and labeled for Vanderbilt women's basketball. They do the school, like the kids game there. The Vanderbilt football invites tons of local middle schools and I don't know about elementary, but tons of schools to attend football games. They do stuff everywhere. What I don't see is publicity about that. I don't see Vanderbilt getting the story out as much as it should to truly ingratiate themselves with the Nashville community. And so I think that it's a combination of continuing to do those things, those like charitable good service type acts that give you a better name within the community. Not that it's ever been a bad name, but Vanderbilt has a rap of being kind of this elitist, stuffy, like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with the rabble of everyday people. Let me sit back in my ivory tower. Do things to combat that. Just be good. And then, like you said, continue to get your name out there from in a kind of cool. The reason why influencers rise up isn't often because they're massive industry plants who get like big publishers and labels reposting their stuff a million times. It's because they're entertaining and they rise up in like a grassroots way. Mm-hmm. And you need to get people who appeal to that like grassroots level, bottom up, get the people who are your average everyday Joes wanting to come to Vanderbilt. One of my kids, actually I've had conversation with several of my kids at school and they're like, oh, I love Vanderbilt. They're my favorite team. And when I ask them, they'll be like, because I saw Sketch, because I saw Speed there. And two of them literally said, yeah, my parents are Tennessee fans and I saw Sketch there and then Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. So I love Vanderbilt. So, like, it's as simple as that. Genuinely.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Get stuff in like that. Do I have the connections to know if there's a plan to continue to do that? No, absolutely not. I'm not connected like that. But yeah, keep doing stuff like that and make sure people know about it. That's what I want to say. Make sure people know about it.
Yeah, I mean, they've opened up. You can only do so much because it has to be grassroots. And a lot of it has to be organic. And you did have an organic, generation-defying superstar in Diego Pavia playing quarterback for your team. And anybody that denies that is wrong because Diego Pavia elicited a reaction from everyone. whether you loved him or you hated him. Diego Pavia, at the end of that regular season, was the most well-known college football player in the country. If you knew college football, Diego Pavia was in the top 5 names. And that's because he elicited a reaction. So that created other surrounding media, like what you're talking about with Sketch, like iShowSpeed. And Vanderbilt was actually open to engaging with that. That's the difference. They didn't block him at the door.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed Theo Vaughn to be involved. They allowed Sketch to film. They allowed iShowSpeed to show up at one of the practices.
Johnny Manziel.
They just need to be open to those things. There's only so much Vanderbilt can do. And like you're saying with the community outreach stuff, Vanderbilt's done that for a lot of years. The reason that doesn't hit the Tennessean is because there's a lot more news going on in Nashville than in Starkville or in Knoxville. There's a lot more going on in Nashville, Tennessee than Knoxville, Tennessee. Like there just is. The whole city isn't basically built around a college. So that's the core problem in and of itself is Vanderbilt is a part of Nashville. Vanderbilt isn't Nashville versus most of the other schools in these Power 4 conferences, excluding a few names, they are that city. Without that university, the city has nothing. It's a dog shit city. And so by default, there's this ingratiated, I don't know what the right term is, ingratiated, they're going to cover the positives of the school because they built everything that's around in the city. Nashville doesn't have that.
It's like a quid pro quo type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Vanderbilt's in a different spot. And what they've done so far and what I've seen out of the administration under Candace Story Lee and under Daniel Diermeyer has me extremely positive that they get it, at least, that they understand that when Jelly Roll wants to come to a basketball game, you sit him next to your AD and post videos of him celebrating. And that's the kind of stuff that they just haven't done in the past. In fact, they've kind of stiff-armed that out of the way. And this year, it's been nice to see them actually engaging with positive media and understanding how to build a young fan base. So they're on the right track, but I don't know if you can like sit in a meeting room and be like, all right, this is our plan to get these influencers involved. That's not really how it works. It has to be a lot of grassroots and organic, like you said, Alex. All right, that is it for the premium message board questions. We are close to closing out a long and beefy episode 348. I think it's going to be close to 2 hours.
We're over 2 hours. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add on here before we close that episode 348 on a lovely Tuesday, January 6th?
I don't want to make this conversation at all. I just want to get y'all's 2 points on this, following up on that question. I don't want to toot TDR's horn at all, but I am going to. TDR is a very grassroots thing, and we are very, 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 very proud of what we've built here. Thanks to you guys. From your perspective, wouldn't you say that Vanderbilt has sort of identified TDR as more of a grassroots thing? And Vanderbilt is not in bed with TDR whatsoever. But
definitely not.
But wouldn't you say there's been in the past couple of years much more of a, hey, let's interact with these guys a little bit more type thing?
I think it's been like what I said before, which is they see an opportunity and have a better understanding in the current administration of how it works.
Yeah.
Of like how, because it's been constantly up until about, I'm not hearing as much of this anymore, but up until a couple of years ago was Vanderbilt's fan base is just old.
Yeah.
And they have no young fans. And a lot of that was self-imposed issues, was Vanderbilt not investing and then just not engaging with anything that can draw in young fans. And it's kind of like something we said a couple episodes ago, or I said a couple episodes ago, which is that's great that, or that's fine that all the media absolutely shit on Pavia after the Heisman ceremony and shit on him after the Bama game and all that stuff. That's understandable. But for every 54-year-old college sports fan that you've pissed off, you've gained 3 people that are, or 3 fans that are 12 years old or 15 years old right now that absolutely love Diego Pavia. That's how you build a fan base. I was in high school in middle school when Johnny Manziel was making his run. I still have fond memories of Johnny Manziel. That's how you build a younger fan base. And finally, Vanderbilt is understanding maybe going the full traditional route of just the perfect, proper PR statements doesn't draw in the young fans. And that's been the criticism. So now they're finally engaging with a young fan base. And I think you're going to reap the benefits of that over the years if Vanderbilt can continue to win at a decent clip.
Yeah.
And to tie this all full circle, if we're addressing just what Trevor asked with Vanderbilt's relationship and kind of interaction with TDR, I think that TDR is at a point where the Vanderbilt is at a point where they're recognizing and interacting with TDR and similar kind of fan run, younger audience, a little bit more relaxed mediums. But I think that happened because of a grassroots emergence through the TDR sphere, because it was the players and it was young people at Vanderbilt who kind of got it on the radar. I feel like before you ever had TDR getting passes to fall camp, you had Vanderbilt football players retweeting clips from the podcast or retweeting Trevor's tweets, TDR's tweets, Will's tweets, stuff like that, to the point where it actually got on the radar. And it's like, okay, wait, this is actually something that's resonating with not just fans, but people at Vanderbilt itself. And there was a grassroots uprising within Vanderbilt that kind of probably showed the administration that, hey, there's a value to this type of media, and it can be another form of community interaction that helps develop a more favorable brand for Vanderbilt athletics.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to close out episode 348 on a beefy one.
Gosh,
Beefy.
yeah, jeez.
All right, for myself, Will Byrum, my co-host Trevor Hulan, and our very own Vanderbilt insider Alex Kurbegov, this has been episode 348 of the Door Report, powered by 615 Collectibles.